I've always been interested in 360 cameras, but the idea of working with 360 footage has always felt very intimidating. So today I want to explain how the Insta360 ONE X2 instantly made me do a 180 on how I felt about 360 cameras. Now I should say that Insta did send me this ONE X2 for free, but I have no obligation to make a video about it or say anything about it. And in fact, they sent it to me about 7 or 8 months ago. The reason I'm making this video now is because this has become literally one of the most fun cameras I've ever used, that now I feel entirely differently about 360 footage, and this literally does live in my camera bag and goes with me everywhere that I take a camera. So what the heck is the Insta360 ONE X2? I can never remember the name. It's a 360 action camera. So here's the GoPro Hero 10 for comparison in terms of size. It is a little bit taller, but it's also a bit skinnier. You've got two 180-degree lenses, and when those powers combine, they give you a full 360-degree field of view. And the Insta360 does also have the magic ability, when you have it mounted on a stick, to eliminate the stick, which means if you're walking around with it, it just looks like it's floating there and you can't see the stick at all. I don't know how they do it, but I shall never get tired of that stick shtick. So stick with me. Now this camera does have some pretty impressive specifications. It does shoot up to 5.7K footage. It's waterproof up to 10 meters and it has incredible stabilization. You might have even seen some footage from these where people are going on like looped roller coasters, but the camera looks like it's just staying totally level, like the horizon never moves. Again, magic. Don't know how they do that. And here's a quick comparison of the stabilization between the Insta360 and the GoPro Hero 10. It's doggone cute. It's pretty well built and pretty easy to use. You've got your two lenses at the top, of course. You have your screen right here. You have a 1/4-20 mount on the bottom. And then the side over here, you have a little flap that opens up to give you a USB-C port. And you also have a giant battery that pops out right there. This is a huge battery, and this thing does get amazing battery life. I basically never worry about the battery life with it. I kind of forget to charge it sometimes because the battery lasts so long on it. And then it does take a micro SD card that goes in the battery compartment right there. And one thing that's very important is when you open these flaps or insert the battery, to make sure that they're fully connected. That little orange bit right there means that this isn't fully in place. And once I push it down, that goes away. So if you see orange, that means these aren't fully closed, which is very important if you're planning to use this underwater, because then it would break it. Now I've tried to take really good care of this in the time that I've had it, but I've also used it a lot, and it's pretty durable, but there are some signs of use, which is fine. There are different packages that come with different accessories, and mine came with a sleeve, and it also came with this little rubber thing that goes on to protect the lenses. So when it's in both of these, it's very well protected. Mine also did come with the micro SD card, and it came with these things right here, the tripod and the stick. If you're gonna get this camera, you really gotta get the stick. I know you might feel like a dork with a selfie stick walking around, but this is really what lets you, here, let's turn this on actually. So the power button is on the side. If I turn it on, you'll see the little round display open up, and this is a touch display. We'll do 5.7K at 24 FPS. Hit record. And the cool thing about a 360 camera, here, I can put it right here, is it doesn't matter where I point the camera. What you'll notice is even though I have this stick on it, you won't be able to see the stick in the footage from the camera. The only thing you really need to pay attention to when positioning a 360 camera, which I'm still getting used to because it's weird, is really just the height of the camera. Because if I want to show you like the top of my camera here, I need to make sure that this is high enough to do that. If it's low, even though you'll be able to see the camera, you won't be able to see, above it or below it. So it's just important to make sure that the camera is positioned at the height that you want, and then that's pretty much it. You just point it wherever you want and you're done. Now, in addition to video, you can also take photos, which are really fun. There's all kinds of different things that you can do to do long panoramic photos or small Earth photos or like 360-degree photos. And I was impressed because the tripod that came with it is a Sure branded tripod, and they make great camera supports and also lenses. My awesome anamorphic lens that I love is a Sure lens. But the real feature of the tripod is I can unlock it, mount the camera on the side, and then you will be beside yourself, probably when we go outside. I can swing it around like a crazy person and then do something called bullet time. And bullet time takes some practice, but it's really fun. Basically, you do an action and you just swing the camera around safely above you where you try not to hit anybody, and the camera can tell that it's being spun, and it sort of does like the Matrix time is frozen and the camera spins around you kind of move. It's really cool. It does take a little bit of practice, and I should also say there have been more than one occasion where I've also swung it into the ground. So be very careful not to hit anyone when you're doing that, and try not to hurt the camera too. Now, as I'm talking about all these features like bullet time and 360 photos and 360 footage and all of that, what you're probably asking yourself is how much of a pain is it to actually make those things? Because that's what stopped me from using 360 cameras in the past, was the workflow sucked. And honestly, I think the camera's biggest strength in a way is the applications that come with it, because there's more than one. There's a mobile application that works really well and lets you do everything just from a phone or a tablet, and you can even export and post stuff directly from there. And then there's actually a very feature-rich desktop application where even if you have no experience using keyframes or anything like that, it's so easy to use and intuitive that you'll be able to figure it out. And so a lot of times what I do, even though you can work with 360 footage directly from within Final Cut Pro and a lot of video editors, I just use the Insta application, and then I just export that and put that footage directly into Final Cut Pro. When you're working with 360 footage, there's kind of two ways to approach it. One is to make a 360 video where the person watching can either like scroll around and look around the room, or can literally do like a VR thing and look and see everything. Or you can do a regular video file, but since you have filmed with a 360 camera, you can reframe and recompose. You can also use your phone to start and stop recording and transfer footage if you don't want to deal with taking out a micro SD card. And the application, of course, is free. The desktop one is called Insta360 Studio. So here's a good example. I'm gonna open up this clip right here of us driving up to the snow with our dogs one day. Just looks like a normal video clip, right? Except what I can do is click and drag around, pan around and see everything. I can look at the sky, I can look down below, I can look in 360 degrees. But as I'm playing through this, I can do something really cool. So I can just click this little plus icon right here and mark this first frame as a keyframe. And I do have options. I can try to make it look natural, where it's not going to be super distorted. I can make it look like crystal ball. I can do the tiny planet effect. I can do just a default like action cam fisheye look. But let's say I wanted to mix this footage in with regular footage and I don't want it to look super action camera-y. I'm gonna click on natural view, and then I'm just gonna try to frame up the shot, and now I've got my keyframe right there. And then I can just play that for a bit, and now say at this point, I'm gonna add another keyframe. And right after that, I want the camera to pan around. So now I want it to show where we're going. So I can just do that, add another keyframe. And now as I play the sequence back, we start with one angle and the camera will just move to the other angle. I can add another keyframe that like now shows what we're driving past. So now it's gonna do a whip pan over there and we see what we're driving by. And then we can even do another one at this point. I think at some point in time, there he is. Our dog sticks his head out the window. I wanna make sure we catch that, so I'm gonna add a keyframe here. And now when I play this whole clip back, it's going to start showing us in the car. The camera's gonna show where the car's going. It's gonna hang out there for a little bit. And notice how stable it is too. And then it's gonna whip around and show what we're driving by. And then it's also gonna go over here just in time to see our dog Ben stick his head out the window and enjoy life. And I could also, if I wanted, I can not only change the composition, but I can zoom in. So now I can do like a zoom and a push and a reframe and a recomp. This is great. Why would you not want to do this? And when you have your keyframes, you can also click on them and re-edit them. So if you decide you don't like something, you can adjust it. You can also just delete them if you want to delete them. But if I just want to take a 360 bit of footage and turn it into multiple shots that I can cut up later in Final Cut Pro, what I can do is something like this. I can start with our normal keyframe because I want to show that. I can just create another keyframe over here, and I don't really care about the camera movement in between or how smooth it is or anything like that. And I can just have this shot going for a while. And when I export this clip, I know I'm gonna have this angle, and then I can cut to this angle here, And in Final Cut, I can go between these and it's gonna look like now I've got 2 different camera shots, even though it's literally one piece of footage. And doing this all on your phone is basically the same thing. It's a little smaller and more compact because you're on a phone screen, but you have all of the same flexibility. And then when you're all done, you just click export. And this is where you can decide when you're exporting if you want to do a reframed video, which is what I've done here, or you want to do a full-on 360 video where you don't lose everything. You can select your resolution. So I'm going to do, 4K because my video is 4K. I'm going to increase the bit rate as much as I can here. The sound that this app makes when it's done exporting is my favorite part. There it is. Makes you excited every time something exports from the application. The app also has a ton of other features, including a really awesome tracking function that can be a super fun way to make the most of having that 360-degree field of view. So having something that simple on your computer or on your phone is really what makes this a viable option for me. I don't care how good the image quality is. I don't care what the features are. If the footage is a nightmare to process and work with and deal with, I'm never going to use it. So on top of the footage being easy to edit, I do think that it is really good looking footage. Now, if you're looking for just the best action camera footage, I actually do think that the GoPro Hero 10 has the best image quality. Most action cameras are going to look really good in a brightly lit situation, and most action cameras are not going to look as good in a dim situation. I haven't used the other more modular Insta360 cameras, and I haven't used the DJI modular action camera, but I have watched a lot of videos about them, and I still think that the GoPro Hero 10 footage in bright daylight is still the best footage. So if you just want a small action camera that's waterproof and is going to give you the best image quality, I do think the GoPro has an edge, but of course the GoPro is not a 360 camera. So if you want any of that 360 capability, any of that reframing capability, then I think this is definitely the way to go, especially because it's so easy to work with the footage. So if you're in the market for one of these, I think it's really important to ask yourself the role that 360 footage will play in your workflow. Now you might not have any interest in doing a 360 video or a VR thing. Those can be fun though, for sure. But if you like the idea of being able to reframe your footage, then this is definitely the way to go. If you just want simple, straightforward action camera, then of course the GoPro is one of my absolute favorites and it is a bit cheaper than the Insta360. I was very skeptical about these cameras before I used one myself, and now that I've had it for months and months on end and I've used it a lot, I really love this camera. It's fun, I take it everywhere, it's so easy to just carry with you. And speaking of things that are awesome, thank you to everyone who helps support my channel through Patreon and YouTube channel memberships. And if you do want some more action-packed action camera info, check out this review right here.